All right, everyone, welcome. I think we're still gathering. We'll give it about 30 seconds till the room gets full. And feel free to turn on your videos. It'll be a nice, I think, cozy group. So don't be shy. We're here to interact and just be ourselves. Okay, so I think 30 seconds are. Let me begin by at least introducing myself. So I'm Joti Balani. I am the co-founder of the New Jersey chapter of Women in Voice, and I'm also founder and managing director of Freshriver.ai. We are a conversational AI consultancy focused on strategy and delivery. We work with Fortune 100 clients, helping them select the right technology for conversational AI and helping them deliver the business outcomes that they're looking for. And I'm very excited. We've got three incredible women on this call who hopefully you've watched their talk, and we're here to dive into some questions that have been submitted. I'm in particularly excited because I was just telling Lisa, I have an Alexa everywhere in my house. I've got between my husband and my two sons, we're all techie. They're more techie than I am. Alexa recently said, Joti, I recognize your voice now. We were just talking about that a little bit before we started here. Celene is the director of conversation design at 24/7 AI. Yep, see, I'm going by memory. And Kris,
yeah, that's great.
Kris is with NPR, one of my favorite media companies, because I know I can get the right amount of information and the trustworthy information from there. And she's in the software engineering team, right? I think you're leading that space, and she's very passionate about here. So between the three of them, we have some incredible talent on the call. And I see a lot of folks on here joining. And I think if we could really quickly just have everybody just introduce yourself. So since we're a nice cozy group, we can have a great conversation. So we're gonna do it like this. I'm gonna pick one person, you introduce yourself, and then pick the next person. Yes? I'm gonna start with Yashawini. Did I say that correctly? Yashwini?
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Yashaswini, and you can call me Yash. So I'm all eager to listen to you.
Perfect. Now you get to pick somebody to introduce themselves.
Jill.
Hello, thanks, Yash. Hi, I am Jill. I work in voice design, also IXD. Most recently, I was at Amazon Alexa in the AI group, and some of the things I worked on there were, hey Lisa, were multilingual Alexa and things like that. And now I will pick someone. Renata?
Hi, my name is Renata. You can call Renata, it's okay. I'm from Brazil. I'm voiceover artist. So I'm in the beginning. So I'm enjoying the woman's voice, and I'm liking this so much. Thank you. I will pick up Rita. Rita, I don't know. How can I?
El Haji. Hey, Rita, can you hear us? You're on mute. Would you like to unmute and introduce yourself? Let me see if I can ping her a little bit. All right, I think Rita might be having some audio issues. You want to pick someone else?
Sophie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sophie. I'm currently a linguistics grad student at Georgetown, and I'm super interested in getting into voice and conversation design. So this is my first time at the summit, and I'm just excited to hear from everybody.
Perfect. And so you get to, go ahead.
Anna Maria.
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Poland, and I'm since a few months a conversational designer, but I'm not in voice. I'm working on chatbots.
Anna, can you pick someone else to introduce himself?
Yashawini Viswanath.
She already went.
And then.
Sorry. Okay, so KTB.
Hey everyone. Sorry, I just joined a little bit late. I'm Katie B. I'm a conversation designer at Meta and really enjoyed that session and just looking forward to this Q&A. Thanks. Anyone hasn't gone yet? I can popcorn it over.
Yeah, so since you just joined, I'll have Lorraine. Hey, Lorraine, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm from the UK. I've spent the past year learning about conversation design and the past 6 months or so working with one of Joti's wonderful teams. So I'm excited to be here and learn more from all of you.
All right, since some folks entered late, you don't know who's gone, so I'm going to go around picking. Christy, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kristi Koch. I am a senior buoy designer at Amazon, and I work for the illustrious Lisa Falkson.
Fantastic. Rachel?
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I'm a current master's student at the University of Arizona. I'm studying human language technology, and I'd like to get into voice tech for low resource languages.
Fantastic. B, great to see you again.
Hi, I'm Beatrice. I'm from Italy, and I am a master's student in cognitive science at the University of Trento. And I want to learn more about voice technology, and I'm very excited to be here.
Fantastic. Hey, Rita, can you hear us now?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Go ahead.
I'm also new in this space. I am new to conversation design, but really enjoying the summit and been listening into several sessions. So really valuable information. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Hillary?
Hi, I'm Hillary. I was a speech therapist and I studied cognitive psychology, also human-computer interaction, and some computer science. And I did research in brain-computer interfacing, and I'm just ready to switch over. I'm really excited to learn more about conversation design space and AI.
Fantastic. Shruti?
Hi, everyone. I'm Shruti. I am a conversation designer at Instacart. I've been in the conversation design space since around 2018. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. I'm specifically interested in learning more about ethics in conversational AI across multiple devices. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to learning from the experts.
Fantastic. Hey, Pat.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pat Kennedy. I'm a voiceover artist, and I'm interested in learning about AI for good.
Fantastic. I think I got everyone. Did anybody not introduce themselves yet? Okay, I will take that as our okay. All right, so let's dive in. I think we've got an interesting group here coming from different perspectives and different stages of where they're at in their journey in conversational AI. So I'm going to start with the questions that were submitted during the presentation. So the first one is, do you see AI being important for people with Alzheimer's or other cognitive impairments? Lisa, I'm going to have you kick off.
Sure. I do see this. Reminders in particular. So one thing that people really struggle with is remembering to take their medication or remembering to phone a loved one at a specific time. And so I think I've definitely seen, we have a team of folks that focus on Alexa for Everyone, and they look at people with different impairments. So we have special design for the blind, for example, as well, when you can hold up and say, Alexa, what am I holding? But specifically for Alzheimer's, I have heard that folks who want to ask the same question over and over again, guess what? Your Echo or your various devices are good for that, because they're not going to get annoyed or frustrated that you ask if it's raining 10 times a day, or what day of the week it is, or any number of those things. And so I think there is also kind of a companionship aspect to that. There's a voice that's always there. So I actually think it's really important to have specialty folks who are looking at different populations of our customer base to really understand their special needs.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting because I agree with you. That's actually how I started when I first got into it, is the chronically ill, the people who've got the medical conditions. This is the most natural way that you can communicate versus like smart devices and things like that. Celene, how about you? With the clients that 20% works with, is this part of the accessibility, folks that have conditions like Alzheimer's?
Well, yeah, it depends. We deal with different kinds of ranges of clients, and then those clients have certain demographics. So we have certain clients that have a very older demographic that interact with these devices in different ways. So just the way that we're creating the experiences definitely differs depending on that. So we're working with like a large wholesale retailer company, and yeah, their demographic is just an older generation. So we're noticing, they rely a lot more on older technology. They're used to more, like DTMF button pushing and things like that, that we may not be as used. We're all like, let's do natural language and let's go, let's make it really, but they're comfortable with press 1 for this, press 2 for this. And so you might have to adjust your technique to accommodate for that comfort. And then just in other studies I've read and things like that, like Lisa mentioned, the companionship, that's a new thing where AI definitely is being able to help more. So, if somebody just wants somebody to talk to, we might make our designs much more flowery, right? How are you doing today? Much more emotional, connecting to them to emotional level versus like a millennial, which is like, get things done. I don't want you to ask me who I am or how I am. I just want to get things done. Whereas, yeah, somebody with that type of disability might want that companionship. So yeah, those are different factors that we take into account when we're designing our flows.
So Kris, as a media company, are you guys thinking through, and you talked about this, right? It's a gold mine that NPR is sitting at. Do you think this is a technology that's going to change the game for people who, with conditions like this, will still be able to consume content? Do you guys think through that at NPR?
Not explicitly, but I think huge shout out to all of our friends at Amazon Alexa. I think there's a lot of opportunities with that, incorporating routines. I think is that routine feature on Amazon Alexa continues to grow. Working with family members or whoever to establish those routines, I think could be another pathway into being hey, I mean, this is me talking personally. I don't have Alzheimer's, but I have a bunch of other stuff going on. So I use routines to remind me to take my meds, and then I can hear my newscast and then hear the weather. You know what I mean? And it's it's a set it and forget it. And I can see that as that feature set starts to grow, having really cool applications across a variety of just conditions, life stuff going on. So I think that's pretty exciting, because it's whether or not you're tapped into it, it's all of a sudden you're hearing about what's going on in the world, and you might not necessarily know oh, why did that happen again? It's well, because it's on a schedule to do that every morning at 7 a.m. And so I think there's some really cool pockets there for sure.
Yeah, so I think scalability, and I think there was a question Yasavini was asking about, just generally AI for companionship, right? Whether or not you have a condition, is just being able to speak to a non-judgmental being at scale that actually helps you live a more productive and fulfilling life, right? So there's that positive side, but there's always this unintended consequences, right? Because if you don't have human oversight over what we put into an AI being, things could sort of, go sideways as well. So there's a little bit of that that we have to watch out for. And I think the second one is also, I think related to this is, can AI be beneficial for people who have voice issues? So for example, I mean, we're talking about voice here, conversational AI, voice is one channel, there's chat. And so multimodal, I think you guys were talking about that as well, right? So how do you create that customer journey for people, say, that cannot speak well or recognizing? And I think somebody was talking about the medication not being able to be recognized, right? In fact, I think this was at an earlier session. How do you guys think about that? Celene, let me have you kick off on that.
Yeah, like you said, the multimodal aspect helps a lot. Yeah, so when we do our designs, we try to design once and then have that design apply to a lot of the channels. So the channel could apply on voice or could apply on digital or mix between the two. So yeah, and that's because we try to meet customers where they are. If they don't want to call into an IVR and they just want to open up their phone and chat on, Apple Business Chat or something like that, we're going to be there, and it's going to be the almost, we try to make it as similar of experience as we can as to another channel. So yeah, we try to design once and then have that deploy across many channels so it's consistent, but it still helps the user in the exact same way. They're going to get their answer or their task done, whatever they need to be.
Yeah. Lisa, how about with Alexa? Like if there are voice issues detected, do you guys help them go into the mobile app? How does that work?
Yeah, there is also always the mobile app. You know, if you have a non-screened device, there's always the mobile app as backup, and we sort of direct people towards that where they can do a typing interface. On the screen devices, we do make sure that we have meet all the accessibility requirements. And I'm just thinking of one feature in particular where I worked on this for Alexa Communications, where we were having trouble with people's names being recognized. And so we would put up, you know, say Carter with a C, Carter with a K, you know, you have 3 Carters, and we would put that up on the screen, and you could do things like tap to pick the first one, or say the second one, or whatever it is. And so it really is truly using the screen on a multimodal device as a supplement to a voice first experience, and helping out when the speech recognition might be failing or is struggling.
Hey, Jill, you got a question on this?
Actually, if I can, yeah, I'm just like nodding vehemently to, you know, what these other wonderful folks are saying. Like, I just wanted to add a dimension to this, which is another flavor of language accessibility is different languages. So one of the features I worked on was multilingual, bilingual Alexa. And most interestingly for me, I'm Latina, was Spanish and English for the US. So which you had to try to, you know, we're talking here about anticipating need in terms of like, or detecting need, like, how do I know, you know, that redundant design that it'll work for somebody if they can't hear, see, etc. But what if that limitation is language? So basically there was this whole interesting story around how do you detect that a customer's intention is that, are they trying to interact with it in another language? Like, how do you catch those signals? Like, is it that they are requesting a lot of things, like say Spanish language, music, shows, etc.? Like, is that, oh, hey, do you speak Spanish? Or do I then, you know, with a very strong signal, just start speaking Spanish to that customer, etc.?
Yeah.
But just like, I always like to throw that in the mix because the accessibility story there includes
You're correct.
language access, which you know, I think is salient to this conversation. Anyway, I just couldn't help myself to jump in.
No,
that.
that's right. That's the whole scope of it. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, and I will add that I miss you, Jill, here at Amazon. The bilingual aspect of it, I don't have the stats on it, but the English plus Spanish for the US is incredibly useful. And so there is kind of the user opting into that, but then there's also, what's the discovery side? Like, how do I know that Alexa or whichever assistant I'm using actually has that multilingual capability, and how do I surface it? So I think that's something that Jill was kind of talking about there, is do you detect it? Do you surface it at the time, etc.?
Kris, I want to ask you about this question, right? So if you look at a different color on voice issues, because NPR is about media consumption and content, right? It's a very specific use case where people would want to search. And how do you think about recognition of voices, everything from native to non-native English speakers, you know, native to non-native Spanish speakers? Like, this must be a big topic for you guys, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a huge topic for us, especially since, you know, we do have some member stations that have full shows in different languages, and like some different languages featured. It's mostly going to be bilingual English and Spanish. But I think because it's so specific, right? Like, you're accessing media, right? So there's a conversational element to it. But for us, once you get to the media that you want, the conversation goes away. Right. And so what we think of in terms of accessibility is like, you can use voice for, let's say, filtering, right? Let's say you don't want to really type in a search or something, but there's a lot of potential. I don't know if any of y'all have heard of a company called Speechly. They're based out of Finland. They've got an office in Chicago. I don't know if we have any Speechly folks on this call. If you're here, I'm singing your praises forever and always, but they have a really, really, really cool speech to text technology where they're analyzing it in real time very quickly. And so it's not conversational, it's based on like real time analysis and filtering. So we built a prototype basically where it was like, let's say somebody doesn't really want to focus on typing, maybe they have mobility issues, less so than like speech issues, and they don't want to have to use a mouse. All they would have to do is like click a button or use a wake word, be like, okay, NPR, can you show me stories about X, Y, and Z, or show me all of the books that your editors liked from 2021. And it'll filter through all of those things. And then you can go in and select using your mouse or like whatever accessibility features you're using on a keyboard to get something from that filtering system. And so that's where we see like, hey, there are a lot of different ways that you could be filtering through media, looking for different content. And like I've said, you know, we have so much content to sift through that we see that opportunity being like, hey, how can we via like, you know, Alexa, Google Home, Bixby, like maintain these really robust conversational aspects of it, and then cater to different like accessibility needs, disability needs by figuring out how to utilize voice in like a totally different, maybe like more filtering centric way as well. So using conversational and less conversational ways of doing that. So that's kind of what we're incubating. Again, we're a nonprofit, a very small team, so there's only so much that we can do building out little prototypes and praying for more resources. But
Yeah,
that's kind of where we're at, you know?
Well, you could also create an AI assistant to ask for more donations, right? To really go direct.
My goodness. We have played around with things like that just as, again, fun prototypes during hackathons and stuff. But you do have fun with it. Yeah, for sure.
So we're actually 3 minutes over. Would folks like to stay on for maybe another 7 minutes? Because there's a couple more questions. Everybody cool with that? I'm going to break the WIV rules and go in. All right.
I'm fine with staying over, yep.
Okay, excellent. So the other question that came in is, do any of you have experience with audio description? Now, relative to AI, I'm assuming the question, I don't have any other context here, but does that make sense relative to leveraging AI for audio description? I think it's closed captioning is what I think the essence of the question is. Lisa, let me have you start. Have you guys sort of looked at that from a closed captioning standpoint?
Captioning for AI. I have not. I mean, I would assume that would be more in the entertainment domain, which is not necessarily my specialty, but that's an excellent question. I haven't thought. We have looked at things like in calls, having the person be able to type or talk. And so that sort of multimodality, but specifically for audio descriptions, no, I haven't seen that. Maybe that's an area of discovery or exploration.
Yeah, Celene, Kris, do you guys have any experience with that?
Yeah, same, since we're not in this space either, but yeah, I think the application is there. I have seen other companies do that, but yeah, we don't do that either.
Got it. Kris, have you applied that at all?
No, we haven't applied it. So what you can do for basically a lot of our audio is that we have like a link to the transcription. So the full transcription of an audio piece in the metadata. So let's say you're like listening to a story, you click on it, you can't hear it for some reason, you can click and almost always get redirected to read the full transcript. But we don't have anything that's like all encompassing in one tool.
Hey, Pat, I think you got a thought of this. Go ahead.
Yes, I was the person they asked about audio description. Audio description would be for people who are visually impaired, and they would talk about the man in the blue jacket across the room. It's more for people who have visual impairments who can't see, and your audio description is you're describing the scene for the person. And I didn't know if AI got into that particular realm or not.
Yeah, so we do have that feature for the blind that's specifically on a screen device. You can't obviously do it on the one without a camera, but if someone who is visually impaired holds up like a can of soup, and you know all the cans of soup are the same size, they can have the camera read the label, and they can say, Alexa, what am I holding? And it'll read back. Same thing with boxes of cereal, stuff like that. So it's, I wouldn't say it's advanced to the point where it could do a person recognition across the room, that kind of description level, but certainly on a small scale, we are doing that kind of AI work to help describe what is physically being shown on the camera, to the camera.
Wow, that's amazing. Now that's a problem worth solving, right? If you think about all of these accessibility issues, imagine people who have not been able to participate, right, with these modalities before being able to do that. I think that's huge. Let me move on to the next question. When you create these innovative products and trial some new things, i.e. what AI can do, are there any use cases in mind to address, or what is the approach? So I guess to rephrase it, do you go for identifying the problem that you're trying to solve? Like, is there I call it the use case extraction method. I usually look for, what's the problem, why it's a problem, and for whom, but how do you guys go about doing it? Celene, let me have you kick off.
Yeah, definitely. In our case, usually because we deal with mostly enterprise clients, so those enterprise clients will come to us with an issue saying, I need to, reduce my overall cost. I need to increase my satisfaction rate, or whatever it is. So they have a really clear indication of what they need to do, and then it's our job to then draw them a map of how to get them to go to do that. So yeah, so a lot of the things require some new innovation. So one client we see, with the generation changing, and this is more on the digital side, but people are starting to use more like emoticons and things like that to communicate rather than words. So how can we have our models and our data models and natural language processing understand emoticons? And then we want to understand that and then reply back with it potentially. So things like that, right? Typically we will create a use case of innovation based on the data that we're seeing. So whether we're seeing it, in previous data, or we're seeing it in our active optimization. But yeah, we won't necessarily always just create a use case out of thin air without some substance, knowing that it's going to affect those KPIs that the customer came in with. So we try to always innovate based on that to get our customers what they want.
Yeah, that's a great one, Celene. I have heard that emoji thing multiple times now. I was just at the Conversation Interaction Conference.
Okay, I use the old word emoticon. Yeah, I'm like showing my age. Now it's emojis. Yeah,
emojis. Yeah, but there was a whole talk about emojis from one of the members of AVOS who specifically said she sent something to her daughter and she got a black heart back, and she was like, what does this mean?
I know, and now a skull and crossbones mean you're dead laughing. It doesn't mean you're dead. It means you're dead laughing, or dead, you're just died because you're so happy or whatever. Right. And so understanding.
There's also the acronyms, right?
Yeah.
The ROFL.
Yeah.
Rolling on the floor laughing. I think this is a generational question, right?
Yeah. So it changes meaning. Yeah.
Yep.
It's also the evolution.
Chris, how about you?
Yeah.
It is, absolutely. Chris, the demographics that are accessing the media and NPR, right? Like dealing with emojis and emoticons and, short form. You guys sort of considering all of that?
Yeah, and we have to all the time. I think because like our traditional NPR listener base are going to be like older folks who kind of either grew up with it, have been commuting to work for a long time and are accustomed to listening to NPR in their car. I think younger generations aren't used to that at all. I think like the numbers for, millennials and Gen Zs who have a terrestrial radio is like super low. So now the question is like, how do we get new listenership, fresh listenership, diverse listenership, and young listenership, and get them to sort of like stay on without having that like history of like that brand relationship with this like radio station, your member station that you loved. So now it's trying to rope kids in with like, okay, like tiny desk concerts, things like that. So that's kind of what we're trying to understand too. And we're also trying to understand like, how do we continue to like, look at these new patterns? Like we're still analyzing them in real time. You know what I mean? We're still like trying to solve for this problem of like, how do we maintain this brand, but move away from terrestrial radio? So that's, again, like localization, I'll talk about forever. It's like our big thing,
Right. Yeah. No, I think some of the programming like Planet Money, Radio Lab is one of my absolute favorites. When we go on long car rides, we have 2 Gen Z boys. All 4 of us we love it, right? So I think there's things that bring us together. Okay, I think we're out of time. Thank you so much again. This was an amazing session. Let's keep the conversation going. Hopefully everybody's put in their LinkedIn. Let's connect up and keep chatting. Take care, and thank you again, Lisa, Celene, and Kris. Really
everyone.
appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Great talking to you.
Everybody.